Okay. Beta. I'm gonna show y'all boys where I'm from, man. I'm working, man.
Big Boss, K-Pope, talk boxing, fucking my soliloquy. Remember, tough times don't last. Good people do, don't have yourself. Call them in if I like me, be metal. Peak game, metaphors, what's one. All right, now. So, Jaron Ennis is ranked now number 1 in the WBC after Sergey Boachuk lost to Brandon Adams on the Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez undercard. Y'all forget when Boots moved up from 47, they had him ranked number 1. Then he went to number 2. Now he's back at number 1. So what does this mean? This is the question. You have Sebastian Fundora, who is the full champion at 154 pounds. Would Jaron Ennis get a Sebastian Fundora fight? Or, will it be Keith Thurman? You know what I mean? Because Keith Thurman is facing Sebastian Fundora. It's very plausible that Keith Thurman beats Sebastian Fundora. I'm not going to lie. You know what I mean? I would favor Sebastian Fundora in that fight, but, Keith Thurman is a dangerous fighter. Although he's 36, 37 years old, he's still a guy that can, I feel like got a lot left in the tank. You feel me? So I think that when it comes down to it, when you look at that matchup, anything can happen, right? But putting Jaron Ennis number 1, I like it because either way it goes, it's good fights. You got Jaron Ennis versus Sebastian Fundora. I'm interested to see how he would deal with a guy that's 6'6". You know what I'm saying? And Sebastian Fundora is trouble and a problem from anybody at 54. You know what I mean? That's just what it is. That dude tough, bro. He's not no. I told y'all, that man be working out in Tim's, bro. I seen when he was preparing for a fight, he was running and he had Timberlands on. I said, bro, how you? And then he was jumping the wall, climbing a tree with Timberlands on. I said, oh, no, that's why that boy act like that. That's why that boy so, you know what I mean? And he's 6'6". I don't even know why he at that weight. I don't know how he make that weight, bro. It's crazy to me. You know what I mean? Him and his sister. I don't know where they get the height from because I'm looking at the dad. I'm like, bro, the dad dad don't look tall. Dad look like an average man. Like, dad probably like maybe 6 feet. The mom probably like 5'8". This boy 6'6". You know what I mean? I'm like, bro, but I want to see how Jaron Ennis, I want to see how he deal with that. I want to see how he's able to basically, deal with Sebastian Fundora. What would be the game plan? And, because Boots is, I think an all-around fighter. He's a very well-rounded fighter. So, it'd be interesting to see, how he would deal with Sebastian Fundora, or Keith Thurman. He's wanted to fight Keith Thurman in the past. So if Keith Thurman wins the 154-pound championship, I think Boots will probably be the mandatory for that belt. You know what I mean? Which would be a great matchup as well. Keith Thurman is a master salesman. He gonna sell that fight. He gonna talk that talk. And, I think that's a good... I actually like that fight better than the Fundora fight. I'm not going to lie to you. I think the Fundora fight, Boots going to struggle. Like, that's real talk. I feel like that's a fight he really going to be like... he really going to be struggling. You know what I'm saying? That's just what I see. But the Thurman fight, I feel like, is more of a 50-50 fight. And I feel like it'll be more exciting, right? Because you got Keith Thurman, who can box, who can brawl, you know what I mean? Who still got something left in the tank. He still got, a little spick of that greatness left. You know what I'm saying? So, I actually like that matchup better than the Sebastian Fundora Jaron Ennis fight. So, like I said before, we'll see how this thing goes. Boots is, a hell of a fighter. Now, the other thing that gets me is this. How these fights get made, I don't know. Because Sebastian Fundora and Keith Thurman are signed to PBC, right? Now, granted, PBC sends their fighters anywhere. But at the same time, Boots will probably have to go fight on a PBC platform. It may be a joint venture, but he would have to probably go fight on a prime card if, he end up fighting Sebastian Fundora or Keith Thurman, right? So will he do that? That's the question. Will Eddie Hearn let him do that? Right? Eddie Hearn, he difficult. On one note, he'll be like, my fight just can't go anywhere. Then on another note, we didn't want to send him to fight on Amazon Prime. We didn't feel like Amazon Prime would benefit Boots, so we didn't let him fight. So we'll see, man. I think Boots, man, he could take over the sport, but he got to get from up under Eddie Hearn. That's my opinion. But y'all let me know what y'all think, though. Let's go.